This literally just came out. Here's why today's decision over who invented CRISPR matters. There has been pretty much a pause on the information about CRISPR or chimeras, animal-human hybrids, blah, 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 this technology, okay? There's been basically a pause since 2014. I don't know how we can call it a pause, because if you go back through last year, and of course, if you go to our website, christiantruther.com, and search CRISPR, you're going to find a lot of reports on this technology called CRISPR. This gene editing, baby farm designing crap that the scientists have created. There's basically been a pause on this, but we've seen information coming out for a long time about CRISPR. But now that this pause is over with, what in the world are we about to see? In a brief one-sentence decision on Wednesday, the U.S. Patent Office handed the patent for the gene editing technology CRISPR-Cas9 to the Broad Institute of Harvard and MIT, finding that UC Berkeley had not laid the groundwork for one of the most important scientific breakthroughs of this century. So Harvard has it. A U.S. Patent Office appeal board ruled that there was no interference. In fact, in other words, the panel found that the two parties' claims that they each invented the CRISPR-Cas9 gene editing system don't actually overlap. UC Berkeley argued that seminal 2012 work by biochemist Jennifer Doudna paved the way for using CRISPR to genetically engineer animal DNA by revealing that bacterial immune systems employed a system dubbed CRISPR that can be repurposed to easily and precisely edit genes. The Broad Institute countered that Feng Zhang's 2013 breakthrough adapting CRISPR to engineer plant, animal, and human cells occurred independently. The battle, in other words, was over who came up with the original recipe that led to using CRISPR-Cas9 to edit mammalian DNA. The Patent Appeal Board found that Doudna and Zhang's work, or Zhang's recipes, were not really for the same thing. Zhang's work was not the obvious extension of Doudna's, as Berkeley argued, but a separate and therefore patentable discovery. The question now is how the Patent Office ruling will impact the biotech industry and the development of a technology that many hope will cure diseases, curb world hunger, end pesticide use, and save endangered species. Now, obviously, there's many different things that were just thrown in there, and they all sound so awesome, but we all know the truth. This technology is from the pit of hell. We have to realize and recognize who is behind it all. Ending world hunger and, of course, end pesticide use. They are planning to give us and feed us these fake food. We hear about fake news all day, but I'm not hearing anybody talk about fake food, and that's all coming. It's already here, but you get my point. Fake food, grown in a lab. Totally grown. Can you imagine going to a restaurant or going to a store and buying beef? Oh yeah, we made this in the lab. This did not actually come from the farm. Now, I know that this is, I know a lot of people aren't gonna, probably will chuckle at this, and you shouldn't. It's not funny. But there are a lot of people out there who think that food grows on shelves. And we need to help them. We need to help them. They need to know that their food does not grow on shelves. You know why? Because they're the people that will fall victim to CRISPR-Cas9 technology. They'll think, oh great, it's going to help. Sure, sounds good. Awesome. When they don't actually realize what's going on. The elite will get to eat the real food, while we, all the peasants, will eat bugs and lab-created crap. That's one side of it all. Now, of course, we also know, I hope curing diseases, they're going to genetically alter humans. Literally, like we are coming to the end of the human race. And whether we all die or not actually doesn't matter. And you're going to say, how in the world is that possible? If we're going to come to the end of the human race, how can we not all die then? Let me tell you how. These Class A clowns called scientists are about to edit DNA. If they edit one person's DNA, then from that point forward, the human DNA will not be human anymore. And of course, they're going to re-educate those who view it that way. and save endangered species. That's the next little twist in here. What kind of endangered species are we talking about? Are we talking about the Nephilim, the giants, the creatures, the things that walked the earth that actually shouldn't? Because we've already seen Harvard scientists, yes, that's the same school that's mentioned with CRISPR, wanting to bring back the quote-unquote Neanderthals. All that it was needed was a curious woman and skin cells. Science is a dangerous, dangerous thing. Coming up this week, we're doing an exclusive. And I cannot wait to report on one of the biggest discoveries that maybe some of you do know, some of you might not know, that we have really finally got to put all the pieces together with. The Club of Rome, the United Nations, and the abomination of evolution. And of course, that was just one string of topics, but there's going to be a lot more covered in this video and in this massive report, because it's also going to be tied to Hinduism. Yeah, that's another word that was thrown in there. There's a lot of topics that we're going to cover. You will not want to miss it. Go to christiantruther.com/info for more information on how you can become a member. U.S. EPA staff told to prepare for Trump executive orders. Sources. Are we about to witness the total reshaping, ground shaking of the EPA? This would be a good thing. Staff at the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency have been told that President Donald Trump is preparing a handful of executive orders to reshape the agency. Now again, this reshaping right here. Do I believe in clean water and clean air? Absolutely. We all deserve that. But I'll tell you what, the way that the agencies have done this, where they now own the water, all the water in America, you know what I'm talking about? They own the freaking puddles on the side of the road. Yeah, that's not good. I don't care who you are. That is not good. The government does not need to own a frickin' puddle. Every puddle, in fact. We did a report on this last year if you don't know what I'm talking about. We need to be watching how he reshapes it, though, because there's another flip side to this. Remember I said that there's potential here that if, I shouldn't say potential, there is obviously a case to where an agentur of the Illuminati is on one side and an agentur of the Illuminati is on the other side, because that's how they always do this. They control both sides, they divide it all, and then they conquer it. That's how it works, folks. Now, as far as how the agency gets reshaped, we could be witnessing the flip-flop. So they have had all these restrictions. Now they don't really want them anymore. So they're going to, I'm talking about the entity of the Illuminati. Now they want to basically give it back to the bankers, and the bankers now will control certain things, and then we don't have clean water and clean air. And that's not good. Flat out, that's not good. Now as far as the Dakota Access Pipeline, I don't agree with it. I don't agree with it at all. To be signed once a new administrator is confirmed. Two sources who attended the meeting told Reuters on Wednesday. A senior EPA official who had been briefed by members of the Trump administration mentioned the executive orders at a meeting of staffers in the EPA's Office of General Counsel on Tuesday, but did not provide details about what the orders would say, said the sources, who asked not to be named. What do I mean that I don't support the Dakota Access Pipeline? Number one, these pipelines, they leak. They destroy water streams, and that's terrible. We drink the water that continually gets destroyed and polluted. That's not good. It's not a good thing. I don't believe in climate change either, but I also don't believe in polluting the water knowingly. And that's what they have done. Regardless of restrictions being in place or not, they are still doing this. Now, of course, this is just a heads up to expect some executive orders. That's it, one of the sources said. The second source said attendees at the meeting were told Trump would sign between 2 and 5 executive orders. These are a lot of executive orders. I recall a lot of people being upset by the Obama executive orders. Now it seems like not that many people are upset except for the fake stream media, but these are executive orders. Again, we need to watch how many he's actually doing. Scientists have announced a plan to refreeze the Arctic, and it's wild. Excuse me? Since when are we, I mean, how in the world, who in the world gave these people the authority to mess with nature on this scale? Desperate times call for desperate measures, and with temperatures near the North Pole hitting an unheard of 20 degrees Celsius or 36 degrees Fahrenheit warmer than average last year, things in the Arctic are undeniably grim right now. But rather than sit by and watch as the sea ice disappears from the region at an unprecedented rate, scientists have hatched a crazy plan to refreeze the Arctic by installing some 10 million wind-powered pumps over the ice cap to spray seawater over the surface and replenish the sea ice. Who's going to pay for it? Our only strategy at present seems to be to tell people to stop burning fossil fuels, lead researcher and Arizona State University physicist Stephen Desch told The Guardian. It's a good idea, but it is going to need a lot more than that to stop the Arctic's sea ice from disappearing. A new paper outlining the team's plan to refreeze the Arctic estimates that 10 million wind-powered pumps could add an extra meter of sea ice onto the region's current layer, which would help protect it from the globe's rapidly increasing temperatures. Thicker ice would mean longer-lasting ice, he says. In turn, that would mean the danger of all sea ice disappearing from the Arctic in summer would be reduced significantly. You know what's really interesting? Long ago, there was no ice at the North Pole in the summertime. I keep mentioning this. If you don't know what I'm talking about, please go to the website and search. Excuse me. North Pole. The information is available. You can even go to Google and do it if you want. Thicker ice would mean longer lasting ice, he says. In turn, that would mean the danger of all sea ice disappearing from the Arctic in summer would be reduced significantly. But that's what's happened in the past pre-industrial. Why? I mean, just who is giving these people the authority to mess with the climate, to mess with nature on this scale? Scientists are pushing to genetically modify babies to avoid diseases. This came out today as well. Scientists should be allowed to alter a person's DNA to help prevent diseases or disabilities, a new report from two leading scientific institutions suggests. By genetically editing human embryos, sperm or eggs, scientists hope to stop diseases from being passed on to future generations. Listen, they mess with one of these. The end of the human race is nigh. It doesn't mean we're all going to die, but what it means is that we will no longer be naturally human, because science will have manipulated this for future generations. It doesn't stop at one. The new report from the U.S. National Academy of Sciences and the U.S. National Academy of Medicine completed a comprehensive review of gene editing. Human genome editing holds tremendous promise for understanding, treating or preventing many devastating genetic diseases, and for improving treatment of many other illnesses, said Alta Charo from the University of Wisconsin-Madison, who co-chaired the panel that wrote the report. The 22-member panel was comprised of scientists from the U.S., France, Israel, China, and Italy. One thing the panel members agreed upon is that genetically modifying babies should only be done for disease prevention. However, genome editing to enhance traits or abilities beyond ordinary health raises concerns about whether the benefits can outweigh the risks, and about fairness if available only to some people. The panel acknowledged skeptics who worry genetic editing could begin a trend for making designer babies by altering traits and abilities such as beauty, strength, and intelligence. We know that they're not going to stop. I would like to thank you all for watching and listening. Let us know what you think in the comments. God bless and carry on.